Hi. Hello.
Anyone can pursue their dream and carve out the life that
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me, okay? So, okay, as promised, I'm giving this free online workshop. Oh, great. Hi, Lizzie. Thank you for being here. So, as I promised, I'm gonna be giving this free online workshop, especially this time that you guys, I know how difficult it is to stay at home, especially if you are not used to it. But let's just make the most out of it, like learning a new craft such as paper flower making. And to be honest, this is really nothing new to me because my daily routine is working from home. So for those who are wanting to learn paper flower, giant paper flowers, this is gonna be your chance that I'm giving this uh, full workshop on how to make giant paper flowers in different sizes using the same petal template. So today we will gonna be working on petal number 13. So this is one of my most favorite petal design because peony is one of my favorite flower. So here, as you can see, I already labeled the group of petals that I have. I have the large flowers, I have the petals for the medium and the small. It's all pre-cut so that we will just be smoothly going directly to the assembly. So when you buy this particular template, uh, you're gonna have six different sizes of petals that you will get, and you will have three different sizes of hexagonal base and also a round base. So it's all up to you uh, how you are, which one are you gonna use. And also this new, but by the way, for the hard copy templates, I only give away this hexagonal base. Also, it comes with three different sizes of this new center that I have, and I call it the passion flappy center. So it's very doable to trace and cut if you don't have a cutting machine, and still you will achieve a very interesting kind of flappy center look for your paper flower. So it will look like this one. So this is the large, the medium, and the small. So all these three are made from these templates here. I have a separate video that I will be including, as attachment, whenever you are going to purchase this one. But all those centers are free when you're going to buy this particular flower template design. So let's start with the sizing. So let's start with the base. So we have this one. As you can see, it's very self-explanatory. As the size itself, I don't have to label it. This is the largest, so meaning this is the large, and then this one is the medium, and then the small. So for the large flower, in this tutorial, I'm gonna be using letter A, B, C, and D. So as you notice with my paper flower designs, I label my templates with A, B, C, D, and E, and F, as A as the largest, and then descending as you go farther to the letters. So in this size, I'm gonna be using letter A, B, C, and D for the large. For the medium, we have C, D, and E. And then for the small, we only have two layers, the E and the F. So one thing that is new to this particular tutorial, it's because I'm gonna be using hexagonal base, which is not typically the base that I am using, because as you guys know, if you are following me with my Instagram or my tutorials here, I frequently use the round base. That's my go-to base. That's my favorite. So, but anyway, you know, based on all the workshop that I made in the past, I realized that using the hexagonal base, especially for beginners and for newbies of paper flowers, it's more advantageous because the way how you are going to set your petals on your base, mostly my flowers will have six petals in each layer. So it will just make all sense if we're going to use a hexagonal base instead of just using the rounded base. So it would be easy for you to evenly distribute your petals, you know, without really the hustle and bustle of trying to hold it with your hands and fingers like Elastic Man. So hopefully this will help. So let's start by making our large flower first. Let's set aside our other sizes. So let's make this one as fast as we can. And if you have any question, if it's too fast for you guys, you know, let me know. And I'll slow down and explain the process for you. So as I said earlier, each layer of the flower here has six petals. So we have 6 letter A, 6 letter B, C, and D. So the same with the other regular paper flowers, we're gonna be starting by creating a slit. So in making a slit, it's not really the term that I wanted to use, not just logical, but this is the way how I do it. Like the largest petal has the deepest slit, and then you're gonna be descending with your cut as you go to the smaller petal. So this is the first step on how you are going to texturize your petals. Hello Sylvia and Bizukuna. Hi Vicky. Very excited to see the final product. Actually, it's already in Etsy, but yeah, me too. This is gonna be the first time that I'm gonna be using this center particularly. So I don't even know, you know, how it's going to look, but I have faith that it will look nice. So as you can see, the way how I cut my slits here, they are getting shorter as I get to the smaller petals. And to be honest, especially when you are making a large petal or large flower for this particular flower design, I would go up to letter E, like 5 different layers instead of just 4, because it would make your flower look fuller. But for the sake of this tutorial, you know, just the way how you can play the sizing the way how you like it. So this is just a sample of, you know, the things that you can do with the templates that I have. So since this is gonna be a peony, so the way how I want the way how I want the petals to look like, it should be curved and the petals would be curling inward. So it doesn't really have like a magic trick that, oh, only me know. But the moment that you realize that you have the power to really manipulate your petals, the more projects you can make with your paper flower designs. So that was the aim, you know, making the petals rounded and also curling both sides inward, just like a normal peony. And to achieve that, you know, we have to curl our petals softly in the middle. So you can just curl it like inward on both sides. I will show you an example. So this one is curling. We curl it, we soft curl it in the middle, and at the same time we're curling the sides inward. And on this group, so by the way, when I curl my petals, the magic number for me is 3 sheets at a time. So it's efficiency at the same time doability. So just for example, you get lazy and you wanted to shortcut the process. So all you just do is to curl the sides. What you can see is completely different here. This one look flat and dead. For me, I really don't like the way how it look. Even if you're going to glue the flap, it's not natural. We need to curl it in the middle to soft curl it, so at least it has a better flow of petal. It looks nicer, by the way. It takes, more work by doing so, but the look, the final look of your flower will be more rewarding. So here it is. That's our first layer. So we're gonna do the same thing with our second layer. So with the first layer, of course, I'm using the largest stick that I have. So if you don't have dowels, you can use this bamboo crochet needles. This is 10 mm. To be honest, I like this one. I prefer this one than the dowels, because dowel has a tendency that it is rough. If you can find a smoother dowels, that would be nice, but this one, it's very smooth and shiny, so it glides to your paper with no problem and with ease. So let's work this one faster, because it's just gonna be a repetitive process anyway. If you have any question, I encourage you to shoot it right now, and I'll try to answer as honest as I can. So how are you guys doing with this community quarantine? How's your experience? You can post it in our chat box below. I mean, I've been chatting with friends, and especially those who are not used to this kind of thing. It's like being inside the house is a life sentence for most. So as I told you guys earlier, this is really nothing new to me, because I work from home, and sometimes in hotels, and sometimes on the plane or the resort. I'm not trying to brag, but this is like the freedom of owning your own business, and you don't have your own boss. And the downside is, since you are working for yourself, you really have to grind by yourself. There's really no one that could do so much better for your company but yourself. Although you really have to master delegation, but at the end of the day, you really have to be hands-on with your own business too. So we are now on our third layer. And we are into our fourth. So again, I really encourage you not to do the shortcut. Like, really take a few seconds to glide your dowels to your petals, because it will look more natural and more rounded. I learned that hard lessons before. Like, I really don't want to waste my, especially when you are making more flowers, I don't want to waste my time gliding it, you know, in the middle and try to shorten the process, and it just looks awful, you know. I'll just, at the end of the process, I still have to try to, it's already assembled and I still have to snake my fingers and dowel on it just to make it more rounded. So now here's the trick. This is how I'm gonna assemble this one in our base. So one thing that I wanted to tell you with our base, I would encourage you to use a thick base. This would ensure that your petals would really hold its place, and it has more durability in it. Like, you'll have more, like for example, if you want to rent a wall and you wanted to reuse this one, having a sturdy base on it, like 14 points paper, would be essential. So even if you are going to rip it off from your wall, you still have more base left to really hold the entire flowers together for your next use of it. So gluing the flaps together is what gives your petals a three-dimensional look. So it's very simple. I normally do this way, and you know, especially when you are, here's a trick that I want to share with you, especially when you are a beginner. You know, there's really no magic number that, oh, you have to cut this much, you have to cut that much, because if you are gonna be stuck to the measurement of the seller of the petals, you won't really be able to, you know, master it. You won't really be able to explore, you know, the possibility of what you can do with different designs. So I really encourage you, don't stick to the measurement. What logic I told you earlier, the largest petal has the deepest slit. So that's just the logic that you have to remember, that the largest should have the deepest slit. And to make a three-dimensional look on it, you know, we just have to glue the flaps together this way and try to position it in your base. And if you're happy how it lays down, see, if you are going to glue the flaps farther apart, the petal lays flatter on the surface. But if you are going to move it closer, so as you can see, the petals now stand more upright than what it used to. So I'm contented to how this looks here. So now what I'm gonna do is to glue this, glue the flap. And the reason why we are cutting the flaps all 6 layers at one time, mainly not just for efficiency but also for uniformity. So it has similar depth on it. So for us to ensure, it would be awful if one of your petal will be like this and your other petal would be more upright or more flat, correct? So as much as possible, we're trying to make it a uniform slit. At the same time, we have to glue the flaps, you know, in the uniform way too. Like so. And four, five, and last petal for the first layer. So, you know, most of the paper flower tutorials that I've seen, basically they would glue the flaps together. But especially when you are a beginner, I don't recommend that. I would recommend to work on the flaps and gluing it to your base, you know, one at a time, one layer at a time. So before I forget, if you guys would want to hang this one somewhere, I would suggest to use a pipe cleaner. So you can, you know what's pipe cleaner, right? So I would suggest this one because first, it's durable. The wire is durable, but the wire, just the plain wire itself, it's really awful if you will use it, especially when you are going to hang your flowers on an outdoor setting, and especially, you know, the sun is coming out already. When you do an outdoor event and you just have the plain wire instead of a pipe cleaner with all the fuzz that really works and bind well with glue and the base, your flowers would start dropping. I have some client that has the same experience, and I did have an awful experience myself. So I would suggest that if you're going to hang it, use a pipe cleaner instead of just a plain wire. So as you can see, this is how you're gonna hang your flower. So if you wanted to put this one on a wall, you know, like a self-adhesive hook. One second, I think I have one here. Let me show it to you. Here you go. So I believe the capacity of this one is 3 pounds. So you can buy a smaller size or maybe a larger size, but this particular design is very nice and I really like it. This is what I'm using because it's very slick and slender, so you cannot really see like a big bulge of hook on it. So this is gonna be your flower facing this side. You can just hang your flower on it, and this is not gonna be showing anyway because this is transparent. So I got this one from Amazon. I will try to link this hook down below also for later. So I already put a hanger on our base. So let's start assembling our petals into it. So first thing, the petals is upside down facing the curls to you, and the base away from you. So as you can see, on my left side, I only glide the glue halfway to my base. So I did not go all the way here. We're going to place it into our base. So because we have already a hexagonal base, you know, we just have to position the base of our petal parallel to the sides of our hexagons. So I will explain it to you later why we leave this one open here. But to still ensure that we have a legitimate, even distribution of petals, I'm not gonna go and put petals one next to the other, but I will continue to do it the same way as I normally do. So one on the side and then next to the opposite. And then, oops, sorry. We can have the third one, position it in here. So see, the reason why I leave this side open so that you can sneak the side of the other petal. So when you are done, it's like, you know, one petal atop one side of the petal atop of the other, evenly and equally around your base. So we'll do the same thing with our fourth layer. So again, make it parallel to your hexagonal base sides. So once you're done in this side, you can wait until you finish the entire thing, or you can begin to secure the loose end sides of your petals. Don't close this one yet because we are going to snake 2 other petals here. So it's done. Now you can secure the loose sides. So that's our first layer. So now we're gonna be working on our second layer. So here's the second layer. So before we are going to glue the flaps, we need to make sure that the second layer, the way how it stands to our base, it's more upright than the first layer or the previous layer. So the same thing that would go to the third and the fourth one. Just make sure that the present layer that you are working on is more upright than the previous one. So gradually it's really looking like, you know, a real flower that's closing in as it gets to the center. So what I want you to do, there's really no strict policy that, hey, you have to go glue your flaps like blank centimeter in here. All you have to do is look at your petals, try to position it, and see, you know, which part of gluing the flaps of your flower would give you an achievement that you like something like this, something that it's upright than the previous petal. So once I find that sweet spot, we can now then go ahead and glue it uniformly, all 6 petals. So thank you so much guys for staying here with our live video. So I hope this also gives you an input on how you are going to make your paper flowers. So basically this method doesn't just apply to this particular petal design, but also to different petal designs that I have. The only thing that you are going to change is the way how you curl the petals and the way how you texturize them. So we have our second layer. So we're going to, for our next layer, we have to place this petal in between the 2 previous ones. So because we have a larger coverage of the petal, we already know what kind of center that we are using. So first thing that I want you to do is see how much space do you have to cover, you know, in order for you to have a full coverage when placing your final touch, which is your center. It would help you determine how much more you are going to move inward on with your petal as you place every layers on your base. So because we have a quite large space here to cover the center, I really don't worry so much. But if you're going to use those dandelion centers and you only have like 4 layers, I'm sure there's gonna be like big spot of white that you will see. And then if you have different color center, when you place it, it's really awkward that you can still see the white base on it. So I would suggest cut a circle similar color to your petal, cover it before placing your center. So that's another tip for you guys. So we slightly move closer. Again, this side here is open, so we can sneak different petals in there. We slightly move closer, but not too much, just slight, because we still have 2 remaining layers anyway. And especially when you have 5, when you're going to use 5 layers, I don't really suggest to move very close. And also, you can use different flappy centers, you know, that you want in this particular flower design. So you don't have to use the flappy center that I provide, but it's something, you know, I've been there. I was once a beginner, and it's really hard, especially if you don't have a cutting machine. It's very frustrating that you have a very nice flower and petal assembly, and because you don't have a cutting machine, you feel like you are still not there. Your flower is not competitive enough or not sellable enough because we don't have a proper center. So that's why I created this passion flappy center, so that it would be easier for you guys. It's very easy to trace and cut, very doable. Just make sure you have a sharp, especially those who don't have a cutting machine and just ordered PDF and hard copy templates. But for those who has cutting machine, you really don't have to worry about what I am talking about. So we are into our 5th petals and to our 6th, and then we can secure the loose sides. So as you can see, our peony now is growing and getting fuller. Now we're working on our 3rd layer. So again, our mission here is to find the spot where we can glue the flaps in a way that this present layer that we have will be more upright than the previous. So now I find it. I'll have to glue all 6 in uniform way. So have you guys ever used the hexagonal base, or you're just using the rounded base? So let me know which one would you prefer. But I believe the hexagonal base is really more friendly, user friendly, especially to the beginners, than the round one. Although I really like how clean the round base could be at the back of your flower. But you know, as you master this craft, you can move from hexagonal base to a rounded base. So now we had our flaps glued on this layer, on our 3rd layer. We're going to glue this one to our flower, and again we are going to move a little closer to the center, but not too close. We still have another layer left, you know, just enough that we move closer to cover this prior to our placement of the center. So again, I place this petal in between the 2 previous petals. So that's just the principle of my paper flower making here. There are other petal designs that I have that has more than 6 petals in a layer, but it's very rare. So you really can be sure that this method would apply mostly of what I have in my designs. So So I really hope that this would be very helpful for you guys, especially to those who are new. So we're done with our third layer, working on our fourth layer. This is gonna be our fourth and final layer. So if there's gonna be a sudden or crucial movement that we need to do, this is it. So prior to gluing the flaps of our final layer, we have to make sure that we are going to test our center first. You know, if there's like spot that we need to really cover. So as you can see, there's really not much. Even though we don't have the fourth and final layer, it's still being covered by this floppy centered. So that's why I really suggest, if you are going to use a floppy center, make that one first prior to your flower assembly. So it would help you determine how much more you are going to move closer, or to you move inward to your assembly. So fourth and final, found the spot and gluing all 6. The same way. So we have our fourth and final layer. We're placing this one to our flower now, existing flower. So again, you have the choice to go inward or just leave it where your rounded area is. But I want to move it a little inward. So I would really be sure that there's no showing off of the base when I put my floppy center. But then again, you know, you don't always do it perfectly every time. There are times that I missed it. Like, yes, I'm doing paper flowers, but it seems like I'm doing it in autopilot. My mind is really not there. At the end of my process, I found it out that there's like a big hole that the size of my floppy center cannot even compensate to cover everything off. So what I would do, I would cut enough piece of cardstock, the same color as my petal, cover the hole prior to placing the floppy center in it. So it's really not like, you know, end of the planet when you missed it. You just really have to know the technique on how you can resolve in case you missed something. That's why I don't really encourage in sticking with the sizes. You just have to learn the tricks on how to do it. So, you know, being adaptable to a certain situation, it would really give you a better edge in your, not just in your paper flower making, but in life overall anyway. So fifth, and then the final petal. So we don't have we don't have the slim and slender center to use, but we have the floppy center instead. So we're going to place this one and just glue it. I'm not sure why it seems like our video froze. So again, I just put our floppy center in here. Just give like a decent amount of glue, and then as you can see at the back, here's where you can put the hooks so that you can hang it to the wall. See? So I'm not going to bore you guys with the process of the medium and the small, because actually it's really the same. The process is very repetitive. You just have to learn the tricks of it. So when we are going to assemble the medium, we have to use the medium base, of course, and if we're going to use to assemble a small, we have to use our small base. So again, you know, you can play around with the petal sizes. So with our large size, we used our petals A, B, C, and D, 4 layers. And for the medium, we're gonna be using letter C, D, and E, 3 layers. And for the small, we're going to use letter E and F, like the 2 last layer, the 2 smallest layer of our petals in this particular design. So thank you so much for standing by, and I hope that you guys have learned something about this very basic paper flower tutorial and method. So until next time, thank you and be safe.